I overslept. Yep, I admit it. I think it's like 6:05 or something. I got here as fast as I could. Had to get my coffee ready and poured. Hey, did you notice? I got my new Agapantha bracelet. It's so beautiful. I broke my last one because I never take them off. I can't help it. I love my jewelry. So it was a hard day yesterday. It was a very hard day. Good morning, Opa. Good morning. I almost used my sunshine mug this morning, but I couldn't quite focus on it. You know what I mean? Oh, I know you know what I mean. So yesterday was take the dog in to get, fixed. So it turns out that my little rescue dog is not very well socialized. Oh, and by the way, he's doing great. They don't use the cone of shame anymore. No. Remember I told you I was like all set to see if we could get him one of those soft ones? So far, he's doing wonderfully. Couple of times I had to pull him away. He's slow. He's not that excitable, but that's actually, after yesterday, that's a good thing. Because as sweet as Beily is, he is not what you would call a socialized, sociable puppy. I'm going to teach him how to be a good dog. Yes, a fun dog, a kind dog, a friendly dog. Yeah, because every time another dog came anywhere near him, he went crazy. He even got out of his, what do you call that thing that goes around his body, that holds him on his leash? You know what I'm talking about. He even got out of that. So I picked him up to hold him in the waiting room so he wouldn't like freak out with the other dogs. Instead, he freaked out on me. Wait, can you see it? Yeah, he just like ripped me up, and can't see the bruises and stuff, I guess, on the, really ripped me. So I was bleeding, sad, and worried all at the same time. But it turned out fine. They were really nice people at the vet. And turns out he's got some kind of a fracture in his canine. But he doesn't seem to have any problem eating, and he doesn't seem to be in any kind of pain. So we're giving him antibiotics, and we'll just let it go. Anyway, that's the Beily report. Beily is doing well. No cone of shame. Just has to take it easy for a couple weeks, like a human, I guess, kind of. Oh, so I was looking for birthdays for today, and I have to tell you, this was pretty amazing to me. It's Lenny Bruce's birthday, right? The comedian, the cynic, the guy who got arrested for obscenity over and over. If you watched The Amazing Mrs. Maisel, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the TV, I binge watched it. It was awesome. Anyway, Lenny Bruce shows up as a character there. Lenny Bruce was this like very, very smart, very social justice minded comedian. And it turns out, this was my excitement for the morning, that I found out that his real name was not Lenny Bruce. His real name was Leonard Schneider. That's my father's name. My father was Leonard Schneider. And my brother's middle name was Bruce. So maybe just like with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my family is related to Lenny Bruce because he was another Lenny Schneider, just like my father. You definitely, Henry, definitely have to watch the rest of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Her comedy is like my favorite comedy. She's awesome. It's also the birthday of Margaret Thatcher, who personally I think did a lot for women, just by being the brilliant woman that she was. Paul Simon's birthday today. So, Connections to Paul Simon by Sandye Linetz. First of all, his aunt belonged to the same synagogue I did in Redondo Beach. Now, did that do us any good? Did he ever come do a concert for us? No, But his aunt was very proud of him, and that was all that really mattered, right? And then back in about, oh, geez, let's see, 77, 87, back in around 19, end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, whenever Paul Simon did his concert in the park in New York, I was there. I was there with my entire family. We had taken the kids to New York for a vacation. It was their first time going to the Big Apple. I think they were probably like 14 and 15, 14, 16. I don't know. Whatever they were teenagers. And okay, this is the story of New York. We explained to them that in New York, the F word was not necessarily a bad word, that it was actually used as an adjective, a verb, an adverb. It was used as every part of speech, and almost all New Yorkers use that word as a matter of course. Well, don't be offended, New Yorkers, if you're not one of those people, but it does seem like most people use that word just like we would use the word hey here. So for the week that we were in New York, or 10 days, whatever it was, we gave the kids permission to use the F word and explained to them that once we got on the plane, if we heard it again, we would wash their mouths out with soap. They had the best vacation ever. They even used the F word when we played Scrabble. And believe me, we heard it everywhere we went. Oh, and that was the trip I was telling you about where we saw Cats on Broadway. And we all thought it was the dumbest play we'd ever seen. Oh, well. Speaking of plays, I watched Hamilton again yesterday. Dang me, that thing is amazing. Seriously amazing. And the second time was even better than the first time. Proud F-bomb mom. Woohoo! Let's hear it for the F-bomb. What do you say? It's also Marie Osmond's birthday. And because I don't like the idea that people think that everyone who has the same birthday has similar personality traits, Jamal Khashoggi was also born today. You know who he is? He was that journalist who was so brutally murdered. Yeah, that guy. So we got Lenny Bruce, Margaret Thatcher, Paul Simon, Marie Osmond, and Jamal Khashoggi. I wouldn't call them all the same or even similar. I think there's huge differences there. And I think that's the way it should be. It's Taco Tuesday. Just in case you weren't sure what to have for dinner tonight. Don't you love tacos? Have you ever made fish tacos? So here's a secret I learned that maybe you know and maybe you don't. If you go to a restaurant and you try something that you really like, usually if you go home and Google it, it'll tell you how to make it. Seriously. There's a place here called the Yard House. I think it might be national. They do the most amazing poke nachos. I can't even tell you what it does to me to eat those things. And I came home and I Googled it and I started making my own version of it like a year ago. Had it yesterday for lunch, as a matter of fact. So delicious. So delicious. Anyway, yes, poke nachos. It's like instead of tortilla chips, although we mix tortilla chips in, you get wontons or wonton strips, chunks of albacore, like sushi grade albacore, and chunks of avocado and onions, and then all kinds of spicy stuff, cilantro and tapatio, and mix it together and you make up this sauce. We actually, to keep it easy, we buy creamy horseradish sauce and pour that over the top. A, it's beautiful, and B, the taste would knock your socks off, unless, of course, you don't like sushi, then you might not like it at all. If you're interested, I've got some great pictures and I'll be happy to post them and you can kind of see exactly what goes into it. But I've done that, and I mentioned it because Taco Tuesday, I have these fish tacos that I love from Baja Fresh. So I put in Baja Fresh fish tacos. I put in Baja Fresh dressing for tacos or sauce for tacos. And I found out how to make all those things. So I do. Yeah. And in the time of COVID, I'm not big on going out. So that's what I do. That's what I do. And by the way, you don't have to love fish tacos. I hadn't had a fish taco until I'm going to say 2 years ago. And after the first one I had, I couldn't stop eating them. They're awesome. So it's apparently a frosty day in Canada today. I think it's going to be like 100 and something here again today. Just another perfect day in paradise, as my father, Lenny Schneider, used to say. That just cracks me up. Oh, don't detest fish. But maybe fish don't like you either. Have you thought about that? Good morning, Marlene. Glad to see you're joining us. Yesterday, out of the clear blue sky, I got a thank you from someone that I don't usually talk to. Yep. I did something nice, didn't get a thank you. Think I shocked the person I did it for. And I really honestly didn't even think anything of it. It was like, yeah, okay, you know what? You probably were like so crazed at what I did that you just didn't even think about it. But then when the call came yesterday unexpectedly and I got that thank you, wow. And I mention that because you might want to take a look at who's said or done something for you or something nice that you noticed they did for someone else and maybe didn't get acknowledged for. That old yay you is really powerful stuff. And a thank you, a sincere thank you with what you are thankful for, that goes a long way. So I would like to say thank you for joining me here. Sincerely. It's kind of every once in a while, nobody comments. And when you don't make comments, I think I'm alone. And I keep talking because I know eventually someone's going to listen. But when you're here, it makes so much difference. So much difference. So I salute you. I thank you. And it's a joy to have coffee with you. Oh, speaking of this mug, I wrote a book a few years ago called What Do I Say, What Do I Do When Someone I Care About is Going Through a Divorce? Raise your hand if you know someone who's going through a divorce or who's been through a divorce and is still struggling with it. It seems to me that, and at the time I looked it up, so I know it's true. There are gazillions and gazillions of books and articles and videos on what to do when you're going through a divorce, how you can handle it, what would make you feel better. But there's like, other than my book and a couple of others, there's like almost nothing written for the people whose friends or loved ones are going through it. And it's so difficult to know what to say and what to do. That, by the way, is how What Do I Say, What Do I Do originally got started. So I was doing like a series of books. What do I say? What do I do when someone I love gets divorced? What do I say? What do I do when someone loses a loved one? The books were all designed for you as the friend to be a better friend. How do I be a friend? What do I say? What do I do when someone loses a child? Anyway, not huge, long books, but books that could make a difference. Because sometimes we get stuck and our own feelings about what's going on stop us from being there 100% for someone who needs us so desperately at a time when they're traumatized. So the book is available as an ebook, I believe, still on the What Do I Say, What Do I Do website. And I think it's like $5 or $6, something like that. You might want to check it out, but I think I might be doing a series of videos based on the book because I think it's really tough. Like when you love the husband and the wife, what do you do? Things like that. So that's what the divorce book addresses. Let me see what you're saying. Oh, yes, yes. It's like losing two friends when your good friends divorce. Did you ever notice that it's like, okay, he got custody of her and she got custody of that one, and it's ugly. It can be really ugly, or it can be okay. It can be okay. All right. So I think I'm going to do a series on that. I'll maybe even just read excerpts from the book and talk about him. I think that might be fun to do. So the glory of thank you. Go say thank you to someone today. Seriously, just thank you. Find a reason to say thank you. Gratitude goes a long way. Goes a very long way. Some things never change, by the way. In 54, yes, I said 54, not 1954, 54, Nero became emperor of Rome. And eventually people started complaining about Nero because Nero was a cuckoo who was fiddling as he watched his city burn. Politics, politicians. What can I say? Yesterday I was talking about African animals that I saw, and I forgot to tell you about the very best one. There is this preserve outside of Johannesburg, maybe an hour outside of Johannesburg. Don't recall the name of it, but they have all kinds of animals, but the main part of it is this enclosed, it's outdoors, but it's like, gated off, walled off, big area. Like, what can I compare it to? Oh, I don't know. Bigger than a big living room, bigger than that. And all that's in there in the middle is there's this big stone edifice that's like steps that you can climb up and sit on. And they let in about, I don't know, a dozen people at a time. And you sit on these steps. And then they have about 2 or 3 dozen baby lions. Yeah. And the baby lions come in to play with you. As I think about it, I get all, oh my God, they were so amazing. These little tiny baby lions. They're like little pups. I don't know what they call baby lions. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. If you've got your Google open, look up baby lions. What do you call them? So these little baby lions, it's like playing with puppies, cubs, right? Thank you. So these little lion cubs come over and they jump on you and they climb on you and they snap, they bite at you like puppies do. Yeah, and you get to spend like a half an hour in there playing with the lions. It was amazing. Okay, but today I was not going to talk about African animals till I remembered the baby cubs. I wanted to talk to you about Australian animals. When I was in Australia, just like in Africa, I took a little book with me and I literally wrote down every different animal, bird, insect that I could identify. The book was so filled when I left Africa, I can't even begin to tell you. But in Australia, it was exactly the same thing. In Australia, though, we kind of knew what we were going to see based on where we were going for the most part. Like they have these, yes, we went through wilderness, and yes, we drove sort of into the outback. And so we saw wild kangaroos and we saw wild emus and ostriches, and we saw a lot of wild animals, but we also went to a lot of preserves and parks where the animals run wild. It's like going to Yosemite or something in America, and you just spotted whatever you spotted. But one day we were driving down the road. It was like Wild Kingdom. We were like driving down the road and we saw this little thing moving very slowly, and we stopped to check it out. I could hold it in my hands. It was a baby echidna. What's an echidna? Well, think porcupine, but flatter and squishier. But this was a baby, a teeny little baby echidna without, and its spikes weren't even hard. They were like soft little spikes because it was like a teeny cute little baby. And we didn't know what to do with it. There was no mama around. It was like in the road. So we picked it up and we found out where the closest sanctuary was, like pet rescue, and we took it over there. They were so excited to have it. Apparently, you not only don't often see echidnas in the wild, but certainly you never find one and pick it up. We had this little cute baby echidna, and we took it to the rescue, and they were so delighted with us that they offered to give us a tour of the whole rescue center. I can't even begin to tell you what that was like, because this was not like a place that the public goes to. This was a rescue center. So we got to get up close and personal with all these different animals that we never would have had an opportunity to see. But the most exciting part, okay, if you don't like snakes, you might want to stop listening right now. They had all these snakes that had been rescued. And when I say rescued, they were bringing them back to health. It's not like they were making a zoo out of this thing, but they were. So we got to go see the snakes, and they have some really big snakes. And they took out this one snake that was probably, if you stretched it out, I don't know, 10, 15 feet long, and draped it on my shoulders and let it just kind of crawl all over me. I know, it was creepy cool. Seriously. My husband, who was with me, he had to leave. He couldn't stand it. He does not like snakes. But I had to have the experience. So this was amazing. It was truly amazing. What else? Oh, up in Brisbane, in what they call their far north, which is the equivalent of our far south. I went to this game preserve. It was mostly kangaroos. And there were tons of kangaroos just hopping around. We got to see the little joeys in the pouch. That was way cool. But the funniest thing that happened, now try and picture this. It's like a giant park, right? And they have some areas where you can picnic while you're looking at all these animals. So husband and I are sitting at this picnic table. I'm sitting here. He's sitting across from me where you are. And we're having our bag lunch. We brought bag lunches with us. We're having our lunch. It's all spread out nicely in front of us. And coming up behind him, there is this enormous emu, which is like an ostrich. Obviously, he doesn't see it because he's where you are. And it's coming toward me. And I said nothing. Nothing. And it came up right up to him, reached over his shoulder, grabbed his lunch, and scared the crap out of him. I have never laughed so hard in my life. Took the entire lunch, one bite, boom, and then ran away. Wish I had it on tape. I would love it. I mean, funniest home videos, it would have won. It was, if you could have seen it. I mean, come on. Can you imagine eating your lunch and having a giant creature reach over, grab your lunch? Yeah, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. They also had bats there. That was the first time I'd ever seen a bat up close and in person. And they were in wired cages. So it was open to see on all four sides. And I absolutely humiliated myself. But it was actually pretty funny because the bat was this up against the screen where I was standing. So I got a full frontal view and I could have yelled anything. And what I yelled was, "Oh my God, bat dick." So that's what I got nicknamed that trip. You can imagine. It was pretty funny. Oh, and they had koalas. And by the way, you can't call them koala bears. Well, you can, but they're not bears. No, they're not bears. So they're koalas. And you could actually interact with these particular koalas. So I picked one up and it hugs you like a baby, puts its little arms around your neck, and it's so squishy. And they stink so badly. You can't even believe it. You can't hug a koala for long, not without holding your breath. They really smelled bad. By the way, do you know what a baby echidna is called? This makes it even cuter. It's called a puggle. Yes, I held a little baby puggle. I kind of want to name something puggles now. I love that word, puggle, puggle, puggle. All right, enough. I will leave you with this thought. Whatever you do, you never know how someone else will appreciate it. Because in 2016, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize for literature was Bob Dylan. And that happened today, 4 years ago. Congratulations, Bob. You all have a great day. Go find some animals to tell me about. Ah, a puggle. Oh, my heart be still. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Bye, bye, bye.